for today's movie review, I'll be reviewing the 1995 horror film Proteus, a movie based upon a 1983 science fiction horror novel called Slimer by an Australian author named John Brosnan, while under the pseudonym of Harry Adam Knight. You know, the guy that also wrote Corner Store, which also got a film adaptation. And apparently, out of the movies that got film adaptations, apparently, Proteus is the most faithful to its source material. So, is Proteus any good? As for the plot of Proteus, it's about this group of drug smugglers who find refuge at an abandoned oil rig after their ship exploded. While exploring the oil rig, they encounter Charlie, a shape-shifting monster, and it's up to the drug smugglers to not only survive the onslaught of Charlie, but they also have to find a way to kill him as well. In terms of what I liked about the movie, I like the general lighting for the movie since it gives the movie a much more creepy atmosphere. Cinematography is decent. And let's talk about the budget for a second, because I was under the impression that this was like a movie that Hollywood made back in the day. No, this was a direct-to-video release. And with the budget that it has, I'm impressed by it. Because it's not like today's low-budget movies where it's like, okay, you can totally tell that this was made on like a shoestring budget. This year, there's budget everywhere, from the set designs, the costumes, even the practical effects for Charlie in both his humanoid form and his final form are impressive. And speaking of Charlie, I like the overall idea of what Charlie is, because Charlie in the movie is essentially this creature that started out as a great white shark. Then it got experimented on by humans, in which gives it this protein called Proteus, which mutated Charlie into like this shape-shifting blob creature, absorbing all the other organisms and people on the oil rig. So, in a sense, yes, this movie is basically a ripoff of The Thing, but it has a different flavor to it since they don't take place in the same location, nor have the same kind of people, and even the shape-shifting monster in question is completely different since, you know, one's a shark, one's an alien. In terms of what I disliked about the movie, even though the movie had an impressive budget for a direct-to-video type movie, there are moments in time where the special effects aren't the best, especially those from the point of view of Charlie absorbing people, for two reasons. One, there's like this weird green filter, and it just looks really off-putting. And the second reason is, while in the POV shots of Charlie, you see him absorbing the person, and it's just bad CGI from the 90s. Also, this movie has a lot of unnecessary plot points and characters. For example, the way the movie begins, you have the main character in like this interrogation room talking to the authorities, and basically one of them's like, okay, tell your story, how did it happen? And we never cut back to this at any point in the movie. You only see it for like the first 5 minutes, and that's it. Why even put that in the movie? It just didn't make any sense to me. Oh, and speaking of characters, near the end of the movie, basically like right before the climax happens, you have like this group of guys in business suits come to the oil rig, and they're just like, what the fuck happened here, and all this shit. It's just like, who the fuck are these guys? They literally just pop out of nowhere. And going off more of the character study, there's a few people, when they're absorbed by Charlie, kind of confuse me because it's implied that Charlie's asleep, and when he's asleep and one of the people he's absorbed, that person does have control. But there's some points where it's inconsistent. Other points in time, it's Charlie who happens to take the form of that particular person, happens to make them act like said person. So it confused me. For my final verdict of Proteus, Proteus in the long haul is kind of a ripoff of John Carpenter's The Thing, since they kind of do share a similar premise, but the characters, the setting, and the creature itself are completely different. And even though I generally prefer to watch John Carpenter's The Thing over this movie, as far as this movie goes, it's generally entertaining, and for something that was a direct-to-video release, the budget is really impressive most of the time, but I feel that there's a lot of unnecessary plot points that does bog down the final product. So, really, watch this movie at your own risk is what I'm saying. And before I give my final rating, what did everyone else have to say about Proteus? So it looks like Proteus got generally negative reviews, and for my final rating of Proteus, I give it a 2.5 out of 5. So, what's your favorite shark movie, and see you later.